It's time for us to start. I am really excited about our host this week because I feel like this should be a party. It's a big week for her. So I'm going to give it up for the co-founder of Viral Comedy, the wonderful Gill, everybody.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome to my party. I'm actually not even gonna talk about America and the election. I'm still feeling a little too much PTSD right now. So I just want to open it up to every other act this evening. Feel free to just rip on the states. We can take it. I agree with whatever you're going to say, 100%. I'll just put it out there. I'm feeling relief, also still great sadness. So like a lot of things. I haven't figured out how to make a joke about it yet. Give me the December gig. Maybe I'll be there and be ready to joke. The last time we were all together here at Viral Comedy was August, if you can believe it. We skipped the autumn. Now we're in the winter, which you can tell by my cozy woolly jumper sweater jumper. I'm bilingual, don't worry. But here we are in the deep dark winter. And while we were on our break, I had a job, a real job, a paid acting job, which is always the most fun. I am going to be in I already was, but will be coming out, an American TV show that was filming here in Ireland. And I would love to get really pumped in promoting it, but it's a show about, 5 guys, rich white dudes in America between World War I and World War II and how great they were. You know their names: Chrysler, Boeing, JP Morgan, Charles Lindbergh. And I play Charles Lindbergh's wife, whose name is Anne Morrow Lindbergh. And she was quite a fantastic aviator in her own right. And she was a wonderful writer and essayist. And when I got the script, she was called Wife. And it wasn't until I got the shooting script that she was actually called Anne Morrow Lindbergh in the script. And so she only has 2 scenes because you don't really care what the women were doing as long as these big fancy dudes were getting shit done. You know what I mean? So if you want to know if the patriarchy is surviving COVID, it is. It's doing just fine. But I don't want to be shitting on the jobs, because having any job, especially a job in the arts right now, is fantastic. And it is so much fun to do any job in film or television. And it's exactly the reason I wanted to be an actor since I was a tiny person, because you just get to dress up and play all day. And this was a period piece because it took place in the 30s. So like, dream job. And it's the best because a car comes and picks you up at your house, admittedly at 5 a.m, but who cares? It's a big fancy black car, and you get in and they take you to set and someone opens the door for you and they're like, "Good morning, Anne." And they take your temperature. That was new, but I thought it was a nice touch. And they take your temperature and they say, "We're going to take you over to your trailer now." And then they take you to your trailer and there's a little couch and a little desk and your costumes hanging in the wardrobe. And there's a space heater because it's a little chilly. And they say, "What can we get you for breakfast?" We have a hot breakfast, porridge, fruit, coffee, tea. And I say, "Oh, I'd love some porridge. And I don't know, do you have any toast as well?" "Yes, of course. We'll get that for you right away." And then your breakfast comes and you have breakfast. And then you get a little knock on the door and they say, "We're going to take you over to hair now." And you sit in a comfortable seat while they brush your hair and tell you you've got such nice hair. And in this particular instance, they curled it with actual irons, because that's what they did in the 30s. It was frightening and so cool. And then they take you over to makeup, where you sit in another comfy chair and people rub lotions and potions on your face and make you look like you're 26 instead of 39. The magic of Hollywood. And then it's back to your trailer where someone opens the door for you and says, "Hi, I'm going to help you get dressed." And then they're like, "We brought you these thermals because it's chilly on set. We don't want you to get cold." And so you stick on these thermals and you put on your 30s dress and cardigan. And they're like, "We brought you this really big jacket so you don't get cold. And I'm going to have you wear these Ugg boots. And I brought these little heaters to keep your feet warm. I'm just going to slip them into the boots for you." And as the woman's doing this and about to slip the heaters into my boots, I was like, oh my gosh. This is why actors are so nuts. We're treated like children. At work, we are treated like actual children. We don't have to think of anything ourselves. We are fed, watered, made sure we're warm and cozy, and then we get to go to work. And so then I'm all cozied up and they put me in the car and they say, we're going to send you over to set now. Anne's coming to set. And someone else meets me and then opens their door. Hi, Anne, how are you? I'm going to be minding you today. Come on out. They're not quite ready for you on set yet, but do you need any water? Are you thirsty? No? Okay. Do you need the toilet? No? Okay. Well, here, if you need the toilet, let me know and I'll take you. Okay. I will be ready for you in 1 second. And then they're ready for you. And they're like, let me take your coat. Let me take your boots, put on your shoes. Okay. Now remember what we asked you to say? Okay. We're just going to have you say those words. Okay. You're going to just walk across, pick up the phone, say the words, and that's it. Okay. Are you ready? All right, here we go. When I say action, okay? Okay. And they say action and I walk across, pick up the phone, and I'm brilliant, obviously. And they're like, cut. And they're like, can we get someone to come and help with our collar? Can someone fix our collar there? And can we get a little hair and fix your makeup? Okay. That was so good. That was so good. We're going to do it again. Okay. One more time. Same thing. That was really great. Same thing. Walk across, pick up the phone, say the words. Okay. Fab. Okay. Go ahead. You guys, actors have it so easy. It's like being on a spa holiday. You just get to do whatever you want. People are bringing you things, dressing you, doing your hair. And look, like even the scene that I was filming was quite an emotional scene, kind of a traumatic scene. Their baby had just been kidnapped and there's tons of press outside and they're having a fight. That's not fun. But like, I've got my Ugg boots over in the corner. I've got my car waiting for me when I'm done. I think I feel pretty confident in saying that Meryl Streep would probably prefer to film Sophie's Choice once every 6 weeks than have to work in HR at an accounting firm. I just think that's true. As traumatic as that was, if she worked in an accounting firm, she would have to drive herself, pack her own lunch, share a toilet. Come on. I'm just saying, don't anyone ever tell me actors have it rough. And then we get all the credit for it. There are people on set breaking their balls to get stuff done. There are people crawling on their hands and knees and rocks to make sure the lighting is right. And we're just like, oh, this is really hard. This is a hard job. Oh, aren't I brilliant? Oh, amazing. Oh, stop. But comedians, on the other hand, comedians would ride a bike through a hurricane to get to a club where they would pay to do a set if a good promoter was in the audience. Do you know what I mean? They are crazy motherfuckers. And I like to think I have a dash of that myself. And we have some amazing crazies here this evening, all return acts, some for this third time. And we're very happy that they're back. And first up is my co-founder and the organizer of this wonderful event. And if you think I've been working hard on my break, Diane has been growing another human who is almost fully cooked. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Diane O'Connor.
Hello, how are you? I forgot to leave sooner, so you saw my exit and return, but sure, never mind. So we're in lockdown 2. Great. Where are people coming from in lockdown 2? Where are people having their lockdown 2? Let me know in the chat. It's always nice to know where everybody's home. Somewhere a bit more geographically specific, as they like to say in improv, or non-geographical in improv. So this is not improv. So geographically specific would be lovely. So yeah, so in lockdown 1, as Anne mentioned, I got pregnant. So in lockdown 2, I'm going to have a baby. And I think in lockdown 3, I'm going to get really drunk, really drunk. Like on one beer, because that's all it'll take. I haven't got drunk since that night in March, which kind of planned my lockdown 2, if you know what I mean. So I'm very, very excited. But so a lot of topical things has happened this week, hasn't it? So the number 46 has become extremely popular. Everybody's excited about 46. That one just went straight over my head. There's the film Wild Mountain Thyme that kind of like blew up today. I haven't watched the trailer because I love Emily Blunt, and I'm afraid if I watch it, it's going to put a sharp end to it. Do you know what I mean? And also the vaccine. Everyone's excited about that. Now, I have no new material on any of that stuff at all. And unless you count my dreadfully underrated sharp blunt joke there. Other than that, I read nothing. But no, I'm really excited. And I'm actually a bit upset. Now, I know you can only see the top of it, but I am a bit upset that nobody's complimented my lovely dress yet. I am. We've said the comments box are there. Nobody said a thing. Now I'm losing my wedge to hold up my computer. This is great, isn't it? When you have to build your own stage in your house before your gig. So yes, thank you. My dress, lovely. Yeah, charity shop puns. Charity shops, shopping charity shops there are my favourite of all the, planet saving climate actions, because you say you never know what you're going to find, and you dramatically reduce the chance of going to a party. Sorry, that's a 2019 joke. Sorry, you dramatically reduce the chance of going to a Zoom and being like, oh my God, we're wearing the same dress, Scarlett. Now, however, last year I lived in Westport, and so that's a smaller population. So it did actually dramatically increase the chance of going to a party and somebody being like, that was my dress 2 weeks ago, and then of course that uncomfortable game of who wore it better on Suze, and you have to take it off in the middle of the pub to put it on Sarah, just so the locals can decide. So yeah, that's my favorite thing about shopping in charity shops. I also have packaging. I do. I have a list tonight. I have a list written tonight. I don't trust my brain at the moment. Anyone else? So I just yawned. Who yawned? My dad just yawned. That is terrible. Thank you, Emily, for keeping me informed. Dad, it's only after 9. So anyway, okay, we'll get rid of the charity shop joke from when Dad's at the gig. That's good to know. So yeah, I also want to talk, it's getting to that time of Christmas. I think everyone's starting Christmas early this year, aren't they? Which is kind of confusing because everybody said they were starting in April. Everyone said they were putting their Christmas tree up in April. So they either put them up in April and then they took them down, or they lied in April and they didn't put them up at all, and now they're just putting them up. But the thing I'm going to miss most about this Christmas, because it's going to be a bit different, is my family, we all get together and we do a Chris Kindle. And so we all just buy each other one present. And I'm a bit of a stickler on the old wrapping paper. So I've been wrapping stuff in newspaper for years for environmental reasons. And so my family know this. No, I don't like wrapping paper. So every year there's this kind of funny thing that happens, that as somebody passes over their present, they're like, Diane, that wrapping paper, that's recycled. I got that from somebody else. Or, oh, Diane, that wrapping paper over there, I actually found that at the side of the road. You'd be delighted. Oh, that wrapping paper there, Diane, actually, this one's actually good for the planet. When you actually use this wrapping paper, trees miraculously spring up all over the place. And like, you'll be delighted. It's good for the planet. And I'm like, you do know it's not my planet. Like that's great, but it's not my planet. But so I am going to miss that this year. But another thing I'm going to miss is, well, I don't really travel at Christmas, but I do know a lot of people travel. This year I mainly did some virtual traveling. Anybody else virtual travel this year? Just me. All right. Okay. Well, back in May, I went to Paris. I did. I made myself some really strong coffee. I went and sat beside the sunniest window in the house. I put on some French music. I had a croissant. Well, no, sorry. I just molded a piece of bread into the shape of a croissant. And I had a pretend cigarette, and just for a minute, I was like on the Champs-Elysees, and I was like, oh, bonjour, guten tag, monsieur. And then next thing I heard, Jesus, I'm after standing on a big load of shite. So my tip is, if you go to Paris, just make sure you close your window. Otherwise, you'll be back in Dublin very, very quickly, right? But then the next time, it worked a bit better. I went to Barbados, right? This worked a lot better, a lot more successful. So I put on my swimsuit. I put my feet in a basin of salted water, and I had popped in some tagliatelle that had been discarded earlier that day on the floor. And I put my hand in my daughter's sandpit. I put on a soundscape music, and I have to say, for a minute, it was bliss. I was like actually in the sea in Barbados. Now, you have to be very careful with this one, because you can get really into it and then you can wee on the sofa. So I suggest with this one, maybe don't have too many drinks beforehand before you go to Barbados. So do let me know if you try any of those virtual traveling over the holidays, because it's a great sustainable way to travel as well. Now, it's very lucky I'm actually doing this gig at all tonight, and my daughter actually nearly did this gig. I was saying to her earlier, I said, love, I said, Dad is going to put you to bed and Mommy has to go do a gig. And she said, no, Daddy put you to bed. I go do the gig. And I was like, right. I was like, all right. I was like, what are you going to do with the gig? And she was like, comedy. I was like, that's correct. She's 4. And I was like, oh, do you have any jokes? And she said, just one joke. It's like, better be fucking good. I was like, can I hear it? And she was like, at the gig, which in fairness is what any comedian would say to you if you asked them to tell you a joke while they were using the toilet, isn't it? You know what I mean? Come to my gig, buddy, let me finish up here. But no, it came, it was no great surprise. I'm going to leave you in this because I feel like she has been kind of trying to encroach on my territory and kind of knock me off my game recently. There recently, I was just kind of unpacking some boxes, and she came into me and she said, Mammy, she said, your jokes aren't funny. They are not good for people to hear or to see. This is true. The worst bit about that is I actually wasn't trying to be funny at the time. I was actually just minding my own business, doing a bit of spring cleaning. So she actually had a good think about it, and she was like, how do I tell her? And then she just went for the juggler. But it's not just me. She does, she's aiming for the top. I walked in on her. This is all true. I walked in on her there recently when she was doing her magazine collage, and she was cutting the head off Joanne McNally. So nobody's safe. So with that, I'm going to hand you back to Anne Gill and go write some better jokes. Thank you, Anne.
Oh, thank you. She is a ticket. I think that you've made so many promises. I think we need to see Eliza on December 9th. I think Eliza is going to be headlining the December 9th gig. So get your tickets now. It's going to sell out. We want that one joke, and then we'll be the judge of her. I think that's going to be the fair situation.
I think she's ready. Yeah.
Yeah, she's ready. Look, she's 4.5. Come on. By that time, she'll be properly 4.5 in December. So it's getting almost too late to get them started. You really want to start by 3.5, I think. We're going to scoot right along to a lovely gent who's been here before. And I always like to say that the last live gig I did at the wonderful Comedy Gold, I got to meet him for the first time, and he was absolutely brilliant. So we're delighted he's back with us this evening. And if he wants to tell more stories about how he almost got kicked off Twitter, how he did get kicked off Twitter, he's welcome to. And also other renegade moves from Mr. Felix O'Connor.
Well, hey, hello. How's everyone doing? I'm having fun. Oh, none of you can talk, so that's That's grand. Yeah, actually, I'm not going to tell any more jokes about how I got kicked off Twitter, but I am going to tell a slightly late but somewhat seasonal joke about a time that I kind of inadvertently became a ghost. It's just after Halloween, so I thought I'd be a little bit seasonal. Um, so yeah, just a bit of context before we start. I'm transgender. I'm a trans man. Um, so that's me. I'm queer. I'm trans. That's the interesting stuff. And now I'm gonna move on to the joke. When I was about 21, 22, I moved down to my parents' house. And my parents, they took in a student, right? Um, in my He was staying in my spare room. I was gone, so like worked out pretty well. And this kid, like, nice boy, 18, just starting college, bit kind of clingy. Um, not really used to the big city, a bit clingy. He'd be like sitting downstairs, like he'd kind of watch the news with my parents, and he seemed to have like a pretty close relationship to his parents. And so he shows up at my parents' house and he's like, "Oh, so the same with me now with you guys?" And they were kind of like, no. But yeah, so kind of and I was asking my parents about it at the time, and they were kind of like, "Yeah, it's not working out that well. Uh, yeah, he's asking a lot of questions." And I was like, "What does that mean?" That's kind of a strange way to put anything. But yeah, he'd just been kind of nosy or something. And a bit more context. Around my house, there are pictures of me and my siblings when we were younger, but instead of the very attractive gay man that you see before you, I was once a painfully awkward little girl. And so that's the person that's in a lot of those photos with my younger siblings. And so this guy Christopher was his name. He was living there a while, and he was looking at these photos. He was like, "That's interesting. I'm seeing all these photos, but I'm not seeing I'm not seeing a hot gay man in any of them. I'm not even seeing a hot gay boy in any of them. It's very, very strange." So he starts, and okay, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a tangent, but we'll come back. Another interesting thing about my parents' house, my dad is a little bit of a weirdo. He's a dentist, and those are somewhat related points, but only not intrinsically so. But he has this like old dental chair that sits in the corner of our kitchen, right? And it's easy to miss, but once you see it, it's the only thing you see in that room. Like it's this horrible shade of green. It To put it lightly, it looks like a Victorian torture device of some kind. And it just sits there in the corner of the kitchen. And then in the living room, we have this little plaque, and it has four plaster feet on it. Because my dad, again, he's a dentist, so he has like he makes like clay things of people's teeth. He puts like gum shields on them, and it gives him a better visual instead of just having to crack someone's mouth open the whole time. Um, so he thought it would be cute when we were babies if he took like clay casts of our baby feet, before they fall out, and then you get your adult feet. Like that's how that works. It's every body part. That's how that works, right? That's science. Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting some nods. That's how that works. So there's like this little plaque, and there's four feet on it, one for myself and one for each of my siblings, and it's got our names on it. But mine is the wrong name because I changed mine when I was 19. And so this guy, we'll get back to. So like I used to have like friends over after school and stuff, and we'd be hanging out, we'd be hanging in the kitchen, and they'd be like, there's a torture chair in the corner of the room. What's going on with that? And you're like, "Oh yeah, no, my dad's a weirdo." And then we'd be hanging out in the living room, like playing video games, watching TV, whatever. And then suddenly like, why are there feet on the mantelpiece? I was like, yeah, my dad's a weirdo in this room too. But yeah, so this kid Christopher, he's been living with my parents for a little while, and he's noticing these photos, and he notices the feet because everyone eventually does notice the feet. And he has a name now as well because there's a name on the foot plaque. And so he decides that he's gonna ask my younger sibling, he's trying to get to the bottom of things. He decides he's gonna ask my younger brother. I'll say the name on it is Amy just to have a name. It's not, but it just makes things easier. So he goes to my younger brother, who I think was about 14 or 15 at the time. And that was a bad call on his part because my brother was very much a teenage boy. So he goes to my brother and he's like, "Hey, so I've been noticing a couple things. Who's Amy?" And my brother in his head is just like, "I don't want to get into a whole thing about this. It's complicated." And so he just goes, "Oh, I don't know." Suspicious. Very suspicious. So this kid Christopher goes by. I must assume he has like a big like conspiracy wall with photos, maps, red string, like, and he's like, okay, like he goes back to his wall. He takes the pin away from picture of my brother and moves it over to one of my sister, and goes, okay, let's try it again. One of them's got a crack. We gotta get the truth out of someone. So he goes to my sister Maeve, and he goes, "Hey, yeah, so I've just been noticing a couple things. You know, I was wondering who Amy was." And my sister, again, like, she would have been maybe 20 at this point, and she's just like, "Oh, this is, again, it's complicated. It's a whole lot of questions, and it's like it's not my story to tell, kind of thing." And so she just goes, "Oh, you don't need to worry about that." It's so suspicious. And so this poor boy goes again back to his conspiracy wall, moves some string around. He's written, feet question mark, hot gay man question mark. Like, I also must assume that he was like kind of eyeing the garden to see if any of the grass was just like a little bit raised, like literally and figuratively digging at this point for truth. Um, and so he's like, okay, so these kids, they're too well trained. Like they're not cracking. Clearly this goes all the way to the top. I've gotta go to the mother. Um, so he goes to my mom and he goes, "Hey, yeah, so love everything you've done with the place. Love these interesting decorative choices, feet, yeah, cool. Who's Amy?" And my mom just goes, "Oh, we don't talk about that." So suspicious. So suspicious. And so okay, so around this time, around the like grand unraveling of this vast O'Connor conspiracy, I'm just realizing that Diane is also an O'Connor, so she's in on it. That's why I got this gig. I'm her silence is being bought. But yeah, so around this time, I had top surgery. So I had a double mastectomy. My chest flattened essentially, and I was staying with my parents while I was recovering. And for the first like 2 weeks that I was recovering, my Christopher was still living there. This was around Christmas, and then he went home. And I remember my mom said to me like, "Hey, so while you're recovering, like just don't be wandering around the house while Christopher is here." And she said that what I heard was, "Do not haunt this house." Out spirit. Do not haunt this house. And I was like, what have you been telling this poor culty boy? Like, what does he think? And she was like, "Oh, he's just been very nosy. He's just been snooping where he doesn't he doesn't need to know any of that. And I was like, you're not wrong, but you realize he thinks I'm dead, right? Like, and she was like, oh, it's just none of his business. And I was like, yeah, but he thinks you killed or lost a daughter and then replaced her with a hot twink. Like, why would you do that? That's so strange. And she was like, oh, we just doesn't need to know. And I was like, he thinks he's being get outed. Like, he's like, I don't know if any of you guys have seen the Jordan Peele film Get Out, but it's a movie where this like rich white family lure like black people into their home and then replace their brains with white people brains so they could live forever. I think that's the plot of the movie. It's a very it's a well done take on racial politics in America, but it's also kind of weird. But like this kid Christopher was obviously like, okay, torture chair, replaced person, I'm next? Question mark. I'm like, here's the thing. I'm trans. If there was a way to put my brain, which currently is in like a 5'3" body, and put it in like, a taller body that also has a penis attached to it, like, I'd be on board, but that wasn't what was happening. So at the end of the story, thankfully, I suppose, Christopher did in fact get out of my parents' house. He got out, as the movie said, and physically unscathed, but mentally and emotionally scarred forever. And I can just say I relate. So that's my time. Thanks very much, guys.
That is a funny story. That poor guy. Like, and also, can you imagine what he's saying in the pub at home? He's like, you would not believe what they're getting up to in Dublin. Shit is crazier than you think. Oh my gosh. That is very funny. I just can't imagine, like, I'm just trying to think through what this guy, and like, what is he telling his parents who he's close to as well? Like, they have this daughter, they also have tiny feet, no sight, but they also adopted another man. Like, he's not coming back to Dublin. I think we can say that safely say that this guy is kaput for Dublin. Okay, we're gonna skate right along to our next guest, the lovely yoga teacher / comedian, who would also probably ride a bike through a hurricane to do a gig, if given a chance. Everybody here would, to be fair. Everybody here tonight is pretty badass. And so here is another real badass comedian lady. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Louise O'Toole.
Hi. So yeah, I accidentally logged in to my yoga profile. So you guys are almost getting a yoga class today instead of a comedy. But I don't know if you guys know what day it is today, the 11th of the 11th. It's actually called Singles Day. You guys know that? Yeah. So it's kind of a like Chinese non-official holiday. And basically it's the biggest like shopping day globally, bigger than Black Friday or Cyber Monday because of all the sales. It started like in China, but I was getting some ads about it, and that's why I looked it up. I was like, what is this Singles Day business? Yeah, so today is Singles Day. And I don't know if anyone looked outside their window, anyone who's in Ireland today, but I don't know if you noticed, but it was the most miserable day of the year so far. I was like, that is what it is on Singles Day, of course. And it's also exactly halfway through, hope in sight. Well, there is a little bit of hope, I guess, the vaccine. So there's a little bit of hope, but it's like it requires a scientific miracle, basically. So I'm like, Pfizer, hook it to my veins, please cure this problem of singledom, please. So yeah, happy Singles Day, everybody. But yeah, I realized why as well Singles Day would like result in the biggest shopping day of the year, because single people have more disposable income. So yeah, you guys, you have your happiness and your comfort and your family and your love, but you know, whatever, I've got more disposable income, okay? So yeah, lockdown has been tough on everybody, I'm sure, not just single people. But yeah, it's been tough enough on my elderly parents. They were obviously cocooned during the first lockdown. Now it's a little bit within their own control. But yeah, the toughest part was that they weren't able to get out to mass. You know, that was the worst part of this whole thing for them. But actually now by lockdown 2, they've actually mastered the iPad, and just the only thing they can do on it is get online mass. Okay, every time I go there, I have to add a new church to their home screen. You know, they're like, can you get Knock Mass on this, Louise? I'm like, yes, of course I can. Can you get Lochray Cathedral Mass on this? I'm like, add it to their home screen. Now it's like, could you get the Rome? We can get Mass in Rome. So yeah, basically my parents, they like to go to a different Mass every day. Sometimes they actually go to 2 masses in the one morning. So basically my parents are now mass sluts, okay? They are mass hopping all over the place. And it actually turns out that the priests are actually like kind of experiencing performance anxiety. There was actually an article in The Guardian and The Independent yesterday that the priests have come out saying that they are actually experiencing performance anxiety because of online mass, because of these mass hoppers, like my parents, that's what they're calling them, mass hoppers. And they're going around and they're rating the priests' performances. They're ringing them to give them feedback on their performance and on how many views they got. So they're like, oh, you guys only got 47 views yesterday. Do you know the church down the road got 2,000? Why is that? Like, it's kind of mental, but like, I think it's good for priests, you know? It's like getting them used to something that we're all, you know, most men would experience performance anxiety, right? And it's kind of their first time experiencing performance anxiety. Like they're worried, is it going to be too short? Is it going to be too long? Are they going to keep people's interests? Are they going to fall asleep during it? You know, like, I think it's good for them, the priests, you know? But yeah, no, my parents actually had a bit of a problem the other day though. They're not, as I said, they're not very technically minded at all. And they can just about manage mass on the iPad. And there was an update to the iPad to like Apple the other day. And so that's that they have a bit of a problem then, you know, because they can't turn the iPad back on, you know. And yeah, they have a lot of difficulty turning things on, you know. That's obviously the Catholicism in them. It's just not in their skill set to turn things on. But they had a bit of a problem the other day and they couldn't turn it on, so they couldn't get their mass. And I was like, okay, fine. But my mom rang me later in the day. She was like, it was grand. It was fine, Louise. Your dad got the mass on the telly. I said, oh, grand, yeah, you got the RT, you know, mass or whatever. So no, we wouldn't be up in time for that now. They get up about noon, like earliest that they get up these days, because they don't have to get out and get to mass for 10 o'clock. And so they didn't get the RT one. She said, no, your dad got an American mass on the telly. I was like, all right. She was like, yes, yeah, like channel 500. I don't know, he's written it down. I was like, are you guys sure that this is like a Catholic mass? So basically, I think my parents might be televangelists now. I'm pretty sure that's where it's going. And like, I don't know as well, like I'm worried about the iPad thing, having them using it. Like, I don't know if you guys have kids, right? Some of you, and you know, like the parental controls that you can have on your Netflix accounts, right? For kids. I really think that there should be like reverse parental controls for adult children to put on their like social media and devices for their parents. Because like, I don't know, I think millennials think we invented cyber stalking and Facebook stalking of our exes and stuff. But like my dad, give him 5 minutes on Facebook and he is back in like my sister's bridesmaids photos from 2012 before she married. Oh, I don't like that fella she married at all. Oh no, she was much better before. Like, what, Dad, please don't like that photo. You were such a creep. And then my mom, like, she keeps, like, I don't think she even knows what Instagram is, but she manages to reply to my friends' Instagram stories with things like fish pie Ori. That is what she will reply to my friend's Instagram. She's obviously trying to find a fish pie recipe, but somehow she thinks she's going to find it on my friend's Instagram stories. And the last thing that I'm worried about is really, it's because of their, the YouTube usage. So the only two things that my parents do on YouTube, and the first is obviously watching mass, which we've all discussed. And the second thing is they watch my niece's, she does like virtual cycling races. So they watch her races also on YouTube. So yesterday after her race, my dad told me, I wasn't there, but he told me about the video that came up. And basically, I think they're being targeted by QAnon on pedophile videos, okay? Because the only thing they're doing is watching mass and like young kids like doing sport. And I was like, oh my God, they're basically going to be voting for Trump. Yeah, so that's pretty much my parents. So yeah, I'm a bit worried about them, to be honest. But yeah, my mom is, she actually turned 80 just before this new lockdown. And this is how into mass she is, guys. On her 80th birthday, I said to her, she got so many mass cards. I said she couldn't have got more mass cards if she had died. That is how many mass cards she got from people for her birthday. But yeah, my mom, she was a bit older when she had me, obviously. Well, I like to say obviously, probably not that obviously. And she was in her 40s when she had me. And I don't know about other Irish people here, but having an older mom and an older Irish mom, I grew up with a healthy dose of fear of my mom. And as a result, I was a big nerd when I was in school. And my peak nerd, that was when I was in 4th class. I hit peak nerd that year. And that year, like when I was bored in class, I didn't chat to my friends. I didn't pass notes. I don't know if people remember passing notes. That was like WhatsApp, but on paper. And that was like a thing we could do back in the 90s when you used to get a virus from passing a piece of paper to your friend. That's actually what emails were for back in the 90s. But yeah, I didn't do any of that. I used to read another book under my desk that I had brought in. So I flew through the books that year. I got through all the greats, Drina the Ballerina, The Babysitter's Club, Sweet Valley Twins, and Sweet Valley High, all of them, until something happened. Something happened. Drugs. Yeah, I read a book about drugs. So yeah, like it was one of the Sweet Valley High books. I don't know if you guys know, but Sweet Valley Twins, it's about 2 gorgeous blonde twins in California who are like 12. And then Sweet Valley High is about those same 2 gorgeous blonde twins in California who are 16. And if you're 16 and you're blonde and you're gorgeous in California, you have a friend who dates a Brad. And Brad gets in with the wrong crowd. So your friend starts doing cocaine. And then she actually dies the first time she does cocaine. And now just context here, I was 10 at the time. It turns out she did have an underlying heart condition, okay, which is the reason that she died the first time she did cocaine. But I was 10 and I hadn't studied biology at this point, okay? So I was just like, everybody dies the first time they do drugs, which, to be fair, if I'd studied any economics, I would also realize that's not a very good business model for the drug cartels. But anyway, so I actually started to have like nightmares then about it. And I was waking up and my mother, who was like obviously in her 50s at this stage and was used to having a child who slept through the night the whole time, she used to get annoyed when I'd wake up. She was like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, oh my God, I read a scary book. She was like, give me the book. And so I obviously gave her a completely different book. Another of the Sweet Valley High books with just a bit of like kidnapping and sexual assault, Turns out it wasn't actually a very sweet valley over there in California. But yeah, then I started to get a bit paranoid about stuff. And my dad would like bring me cornflakes in the morning for my breakfast because I was a spoiled brat. He'd bring me cornflakes in the morning with sugar on them. And I'd be like, not eating that. Because the sugar might be cocaine and my father might be trying to kill me. I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with that sentence, but like, not least of all, where did I think my teetotaler father was getting the cocaine on the mean streets of Bray in the 90s? I mean, we only had heroin. But yeah, it all then came to a head a few weeks later and my mom wouldn't let me go see Jurassic Park, which I was like, what? I am being punished for reading I was so annoyed with her, you know. And now I thought about it, and I was like, I felt like saying to my mom, you know, the only way I'm going to be scared of that movie is if the dinosaurs are doing cocaine, you know. And now I still haven't seen Jurassic Park. And do they? Do they do cocaine? Yeah, like that's what happened to them, is it? Yeah, I figured as much. Never gonna watch that movie. No. Yeah, there's no way it was an iceberg or, you know, whatever. I'm pretty sure they were just giant dinosaur-sized lines of cocaine. So thank you guys, you've been lovely. I've been Louise.
Thank you very much, Louise. That I was just trying to think, I was like, how can I make a joke about a dinosaur doing cocaine? And I was just like, which dinosaur would be the most likely to be on cocaine? And it's probably that little fucker down, you know, where he's in the rain and the Jeep hits the thing and then the dinosaur's like, that one is definitely on cocaine. So I would not watch Jurassic Park if I were you. Yeah, those Sweet Valley High books, they were intense. Babysitter's Club too. Like there was like definite serious things that they were dealing with. Like I remember a lot of like eating disorders. Yeah, no, like it was intense. It was intense. I would say that if anyone wants some good lockdown reading, get onto Sweet Valley High and just pour the wine and have a good time. Moving briskly on, another return act this evening, and a return act who the last time he was on bailed us out big time. So we're delighted to have him back with a little more notice and a little more of a relaxed situation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brian Tito.
Hello, hi. So yeah, nice to be back. I am Brian, technically, I guess, legally, still Brian. Not quite sure because since the last time I was here, I came out as trans. So I'm not really sure who I am anymore, except I am apparently a woman. I know, what to tell you. It's my first day. I don't know. It's harder than it looks. I'm very confused, to be honest with you. I'm not really sure what to talk about. I mean, a lot of my material is really based around me being a dude. So there goes my act. I don't know. Plus, I booked a gig like where they're looking for trans comedians. So I've got to think that's next week. I have something to talk about there. It's for the Transgender Day of Remembrance, which is someday next week. I don't know. I should probably remember what day that is, but again, I'm very new at being LG. Oh shit! I should probably learn the order of the letters now that I'm one of them. Actually, I might be more than one of them. Am I two of them? Like I'm T. I know I'm T. I'm definitely T. I've checked, but I might be. Am I L? Technically, am I L now? I don't know. That's. I don't know. It's very weird that I don't know what my sexuality is. Although I'm not sure I have one, to be honest with you. I think in order to have a sexuality, you probably should be having sex. I don't know. I think that's probably the bar you have to get over. But unfortunately, my girlfriend left me because why do you think? We weren't really having a lot of sex before the breakup for reasons that are now becoming very clear to me. So I'm not really sure I really qualify as having a sexuality. I don't know. Got a hand job on my birthday. Does that make me a lesbian? I feel, that's probably a contentious issue. We'll just leave that to one side, shall we? So hi, yeah, it's Well, it's great to be asked to be back at Viral Comedy. It does unfortunately mean lockdown. This equals lockdown, and I don't have anyone else. I'm kind of over it. Controversial opinion. I'm not into the pandemic, but I don't know if anyone's second lockdown is a bit different to the first one. Like for me, my first lockdown, I fell into that camp of like, oh, I'm going to use this lockdown to better myself. I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to become a better person. I didn't drink. I didn't have one drink the whole way through first lockdown. I started running. I did couch to 5K. I was doing yoga in the living room. I was cooking new stuff, like trying a different recipe every day. I was like, well, I can't leave the flat, but the world can come to me through cuisine. I was that asshole. But second lockdown, I'm just give me the wine. Just give it to me. Just put wine in my face. That's all I'm doing. I'm just getting drunk in the afternoon, very slowly turning into a woman. The two worst things you can do to your body. I think we'll agree. So a marked difference there between the two lockdowns for me anyway. And I've been very anxious. I don't know if you've picked up on that. You've probably picked up on that. I've been very stressed out for, the reasons. And I was trying to, because I'm trying to think of something to talk about, but like I haven't actually, it's difficult to do material when you haven't done anything in the whole year. It's really weird. But one thing I did was that it was between the two lockdowns and the weather was still nice. And I was very anxious. I was very stressed out. And a friend of mine he told me that he'd done this cliff walk around Howth, which I'd never done. And he's saying it was really nice. And he said it was lovely and it was sunny and he saw seals, which I thought was really cute. I thought that'd be nice. I actually have seen a few seals in the last few months because I go running on the beach in Sandymount. So I see seals, but they're dead. They wash up. There's this particular place where I run, they just wash up and it's not as much fun. One of them was a baby seal, but he had no face. So that's not cute. So I thought, I'll go to Howth and I'll see like live seals with faces and that'll relax me and get rid of my anxiety. But I'd forgotten that the thing that probably makes me more anxious than anything else is my crippling fear of heights, which is really like, I don't know what I was expecting from a cliff walk. I know like the clue's in the name, but like I thought there'd be a railing or something. Honestly, there should be a railing or something. I don't know if you've seen this thing. It's insane. It's a cliff and there's the sea. And I have this phobia of falling off a cliff into the sea. Actually, it's not a phobia because a phobia is an irrational fear. And there was a very real risk of me falling off a cliff into the sea. And I was walking down it's really narrow path. And I was honestly, I was like this. I was like, because I was terrified of falling in. And I thought, well, I keep going because at some point it'll get less insane and it'll round the corner and the path will get wider or something. But it didn't. I just kept getting higher and further away up towards the sky. And it was just more and more scary. And I couldn't go back because I looked back at one point and there's a big line of people behind me all going on the cliff walk. I don't know if anyone remembers the video game Lemmings, but it's not important. But it's like, I just had to keep going. And I genuinely had this horrible panic attack. I was freaking out. At some point there was like a side path and I was able to go off and I kind of went back into civilization. Then I got away from the cliffs and I found a bus stop, but I couldn't get on the bus because my mask fell into the sea. It's a very 2020 problem to have. So I had to walk back to the place and it was horrible. But when I think back on it, I think it was like the one day since like April that I wasn't in a blind panic about the pandemic or being trans or just any of the other shit. So in hindsight, I think that's probably the least stressful day I think I've had in the last 6 months. That's basically, you're all caught up. That's what I've been up to. So I'm going to hand you back. Thanks very much for having me. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Oh, that is that's big news. And also that cliff walk, I just want to say, it is terrifying. Like, I don't have a fear of heights, and I find it at some points very scary. So I'm with you in your anxiety on that completely. And I just think maybe just keep the wine going. Keep the wine going. I thought it was winter time. It's dark. Like, let's just lean into this time of like hibernation and just, I think we're just going to be drunk for the rest of 2020. I mean, Diane, you've got a few more months and then you can be drunk for the start of 2021. I think that's fine. I just want to be all inclusive here. We're all inclusive. Be drunk if you can responsibly. How about that? Can I say that? Our next act, our final act of the evening, is another, this is her hat trick on viral comedy as well, her third time. And we're so happy she's back, and she's going to play us out. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Aideen McQueen.
Hello, thanks Diane, thanks Anne for organising this. I'm kind of actually stuck in the toilet at the moment. I'm in a bit of a madhouse. I'll explain later. Okay, but I'm really happy that Biden won. Funny thing that my landlord said, he's 75, and he said, you know, middle class women voted in their droves for Trump. That'll just show you. And I was waiting for some political insight, some real gold, some kind of sociology. And then he said, that'll just show you that they need a good cock up their hole. And I found in my time, I've heard men saying this many, many times, that a woman would be soothed if she just got the ride. I mean, I'm never sitting there going, well, you know, lockdown has made me just so insecure and I'm not sure about my life. I've lost my job and I feel so bad. But you know what? Then I got the ride. I was banged hard by a 60-year-old man, and sure, things just fell into place. I thought, wow, maybe I'll do a nursing degree. All I needed was a good cock up my hole. Anyway, speaking of cocks up my hole, I recently moved in with my boyfriend for lockdown 2. Now, we were doing the whole social distancing thing, so we were having cyber sex. We use protection, of course, Norton antivirus software. But it's loads of pressure because it was meant to be just me and him first. And then his 2 kids from his ex-wife had to move in because she got ill. And then the girlfriend of his boyfriend, of his son, came. So it's totally packed. Plus we have a dog. It's like a middle-class Jeremy Kyle. Now, my partner is a bit older than me. I'll explain. His name is Jeffrey. Like, have you ever seen a young Jeffrey? There's no Jeffrey going to come in here on a scooter unless it's a mobility scooter. But he has that, you know, sexy quality that older men have, you know, the fully paid off mortgage. He's 57 years old. Nobody looks that shocked, to be honest. You're all going, 57, 18. You're an aging Taylor Swift at best. That is good for you. And it's just like crazy in here. So basically, I met him last year at an economics festival. So I've been going out with him for a year, and he's been going out with me for 3 months. I'll talk about that another time. And he comes up to me and he tells me that I look like a young Rachel Johnson. I know, who the fuck is Rachel Johnson? Turned out that she's Boris Johnson's older sister. I actually do look a bit like her. And then he shows me a photo of himself when he was in his 20s. I'm sorry, but why do all older men do this? I mean, it's awkward. What am I going to say? Oh, you look great. Pity we didn't meet when I was 9. Shit, sorry. Close the door. He's not listening, but he's playing. I'm doing a gig. Jeffrey, can you please? Can you play in the other room, please? Okay, he started playing the guitar for the lockdown. It's so annoying. Oh, I mean, what does the world need now? Just another middle-aged person playing the guitar very badly. He thinks he makes me feel at home when he has U2 songs. So anyway, he's got 2 kids and they're 19 and 20. So, you know, practically my peers. And it's really difficult because I'm like the stepmom. And where do we ever hear about good things with stepmoms? I mean, stepmom is bad news. There's 2 places we hear about them: fairy tales and pornography. It's either Cinderella, you shall not go to the ball, or Cinderella, I'm going to show you how to suck his balls. Blech. And you can't really discipline them because they're not my children. And me and his daughter Elodie was going out in this really, really low cut, really skimpy shirt. And I said to her, look, you can't go out wearing that. And she said to me, you're not my mum. She's British. You're not my mum. I said, I know, but that's my skirt and I want to wear it. Give it back, bitch. So when I want to give out to them, I have to just wait until he gives out to them. And then I just repeat exactly what he says. So basically, I'm like one of those rappers in a Snoop Dogg video from the 90s. Snoop Dogg says the main thing, and this usually very overweight rapper just repeats what he says. So Jeffrey will be like, clean your room. And I'll go, clean your motherfucking room, bitch. Ooh, it's very satisfying. Now, he does do kind of old man stuff. Like a few nights ago when we were having sex, when he came, he said, oh golly. It was like going down on Prince Philip. And it's amazing the different reactions my friends have, because my female friends, they're kind of worried about me. One of them said, Aideen, do you have COVID? Because now that you're with Jeffrey, you've clearly lost your sense of taste. But my male friends just think it's hilarious. They're like, fair play to you, high five. I get with a rich lad, ride him for all his worth, as if money is just coming out of my vagina. Because a lot of guys think that if they were women, they would just sleep with everyone, sleep their way to the top. I've tried that. I've slept my way to the bottom at best. But they have this banter with me, the lads banter, or as women would call it, bullying. So it's all kind of jokes like this about how old Jeffrey is. Like, so yourself and Jeffrey, I'm doing my lad voice now. Yourself and Jeffrey, what kind of sex toys do you use? A vibrator or a defibrillator? Ooh, lads. Or yourself and Jeffrey were having sex last night. In fairness, the moaning and the groaning out of him. And that was just him on the stairs on the way up to the bedroom. Oh, lads. Or, in fairness though, he's fairly fit for his age. You know, I think he can still touch his toes. With his testicles. I know, they're not going to be invited to the summer house.
Aideen, darling.
Yes?
Can you come farm my corns for me?
Okay, I have to go, guys. Sorry about that. Thanks so much for letting me in the gig. I'll be there in a second. Bye.
Hold on, I'm trying to get back to Aideen. Aideen wants you to know that she has a new show on her YouTube channel, and it's called SE4 Lockdown. And it's going to be on Aideen McQueen's YouTube channel. So everyone go and look that up. And maybe you can hear more of her insight from Lockdown 2, where she is. That is our gig for this evening. Thank you so much for being with us. We really enjoyed being back in your living rooms for this Lockdown 2. We have our next show, which is going to be our Christmas special on December 9th. So get ready for that. We want Christmas jumpers. We want fairy lights. We want mulled wine, mince pies, whatever else you do here for Christmas, you know, whatever you have in yourselves. Wine, exactly, just wine. Let's just don't even mull the wine. Let's just open a bottle of wine. You know what I mean? Our headliner for that evening is going to be Sharon Mannion. Will be back with us that evening, and we're delighted to have her. So it should be a good gig full of lots of Christmas cheer, maybe even a Christmas carol or two. Diane, do you have anything else you want to say before we sign off?
I do. I forgot to share all the acts' social details because I was enjoying the show so much, and because we haven't done this since August. So I'm very sorry about that. So please do come find us on Twitter at Viral Comedy Club, and I will share all the comedians' socials there. But if not, if you're not on Twitter and there's someone you want to check out, we're all on social media. So whatever social media platform you're on, go find them on that platform would be my advice.
Yeah, and also I forgot to mention again, just to reiterate, Eliza will be with us on December 9th as well. She'll be doing her first gig. So yeah, it's going to be a big night all around. Bells and whistles, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, everyone have a lovely evening. Happy Wednesday. Happy Singles Day. Happy 11/11. Guys, this lockdown can only get better, right? Come on, this is a good night.
Thank you all very
Keep
much.
the party going. Have a good night, everyone. Talk to you soon.